I'm on the roof of the room of the Last Supper, and you can see here a mosque. Then what is a mosque doing at that amazing room? We will talk about it later on, but it's so hot that I found myself a shade spot. Then I can actually enjoy the, well, 5 degrees less than what it actually now outside. Outside it's around 90, 92 degrees now, a little bit humid, actually very humid, and hot. But I'm here because of Pentecost. I've been asked to take a video of the room of the Last Supper at Pentecost, and for me, sorry, the Cenaculum, is more than just a room. I think you will understand why I'm actually believe that this is the first church ever and the center of all Christianity. Boof. Surprise, isn't it? But where we are at Mount Zion, which is now outside the walls of the city. Let me show you a little bit of the view of the city, but before that, let me tell you that I'm honoring the tour to everyone. Watch it, of course, but to Susan and Peter Italiano, that bought the Bible, the Old and the New, with the amazing olive wood cover from me, and I will preparing that video for them, and I will send the Bible for them soon, but they will have a video that you are watching it, and that video and the Bible actually touch the most important places here. Then the energy of that Bible worth a lot. Then we know that we are on the roof. We don't know yet why it's supposed to be the center of the wood for the Christians, but what we can see from here, this is the Dormition Church, the house of Mary, the place that she fell asleep. At the 4th century, everything that you're looking at, outside the wall, and you can see the wall there, as well, was one big church. Today, it's so many churches, cemeteries, synagogues, and more. Then, right in front of you, you can see Mount of Olives, and Jesus ascended into heaven from there, and he told the disciples, go back to the room and wait for my instruction. That's going to be Pentecost. City of David is down the valley. You cannot see it from here, but we are on top of the room of the Last Supper, and beneath it, it's the tomb of King David. Maybe later on I will just go inside to take a short video of the tomb of King David too. Then there's a lot to wait and see. Let's talk about the Cenaculum. What is actually the meaning of that name? Cenaculum, Cenacle. There's so many ways to pronounce it. Then in Latin, it's I dine. Room of the Last Supper, the Last Supper. I hate there. Then it can find that that story of the room, the Last Supper, in every gospel, but another name of the room is the upper room, and you can find it in Mark 14, you can find it in Luke 22, you can find it in Acts 1. For example, let's take Mark 14, 13. So he sent two of his disciples, telling them, go into the city, and a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Then when he said that, he actually said it at Mount of Olives. Then let's go back to Mount of Olives. Oh, a little bit of breeze. This is Mount of Olives. And you can see the Assumption Church, which is the big tower. To the right of it, there is one of the most ancient churches And that's called Pater Noster Church. Pater Noster Church, or Aluana, as St. Helen called it in the 4th century, is the place that Jesus ascended into heaven, but before that, he told the disciples that it was kind of his home place, his secret place, hidden place from the Jews that were looking for him. And most of the things that he said was, as we believe, was said there. One of the things that the Crusader mentioned that happened there is, is the Lord's Prayer. That's where he talked about the Lord's Prayer, and you can see it on the cover of the Bible. Then in that case, let's go back to Luke. Then it was there. That's why I wanted you to see Mount of Olives. That as you enter the city, because that is outside the city, Mount of Olives was outside the city. When you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Just look for Mount Zion place, because this is the place that the room is located, and maybe the Bible will tell us that it was here. And say to the owner of the house, the teacher asked, where is the guest room where I may eat the Passover with my disciples? He will show you a large room upstairs, all furnished, makes preparation there. Now we can study a lot of things there, but one thing that we cannot study is the location of that room. Mount Zion. We are at Mount Zion, and we believe that the room was here. Then how come? Because Mount Zion is not mentioned there. Let's go, to the book of Acts. Acts 1, 13, 12. Then the apostle returned to Jerusalem from the hill called Mount of Olives. Remember? It was right there. When they arrived, they went upstairs to the room where they were staying. Then the thing that we know, that after the ascension of Jesus, they came back to here. But is it here? Or maybe it's at the other part of Jerusalem. This is an enigma, and there's only one clue that tells us that it used to be here, but it's, if you ask me if it's 100%, I feel that it is. But if I'm trying to find a clue, it's difficult. Then the clue is there. This time we will read it from Luke 22, but you can find it in Mark 14 as well. As you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Now, a man who carry a jar of water. If you would live in the time of Jesus, you know that this is a woman thing. A woman, the women carry water. The man didn't. I know what you're thinking, but I'm going back to the time of Jesus. Then in that case, only one group used to carry water, and that was the easiest, the one cult of Judaism that were kind of monks, but only men. And they had to do everything by themselves. Then they used to carry water, and we believe that Mount Zion was their compound. Then in that case, it can be here, Mount Zion. But why the room is so important for me, and why it's not only the room of the Last Supper? Because the preparation for the celebration of Jesus and Passover meal happened here. The washing of the disciple feet happened in that room. Certain resurrection appearance of Jesus was in that room. The gathering of the disciple after the ascension of Jesus, which we are just talked about it, was right here. The election of Saint Matthew as apostle was in that room by St. Peter. The descent of the Holy Spirit upon the disciples on the day of Pentecost will be right here. Then in that case, there's so many important things that happen here. You can understand that it's not only one thing that happened, then it's not only the room of the Last Supper. Then let's read something else. We will try to understand it better. Before we will read about it, let me explain you about Passover. There are 3 Jewish festivals that every Jew must do it inside the city. Then in that case, if you know that the 12 were at Mount of Olives, and we know that it wasn't part of the city, they had to do it here. That's why Jesus sent the disciples to look for a place. And now think about your city when, let's say, 10,000 people live in your city, but in the festival another 100,000 people will be here. You can understand what will happen to the hotel prices. But God knew that too, and he told the people, you are lucky that you're living in the holy city. I am myself is lucky that I can visit it almost every day. But you must give the visitors a free room, a place in your apartment. Are you going to give it a free room? Of course not. Then in that case, usually the upper room, the roof, and I'm sitting on the roof. And this is another reason why I believe that that although the room, the Last Supper, is beneath us, when they came to here, they saw something like that. It was furniture. It was ready for them. The family or the atheist gave them some things to prepare for the Passover. But they saw her roof. And this is the name. This is why they call it the upper room. Then in that case, we know already the disciples did it. And let's go to talk about the Last Supper itself. Let me see where it is. Here it is, 17. After taking the cup, he gave thanks and said, Take this and divided it among you. For I tell you, I will not drink again from the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of God comes, which is difficult to understand. I mean, if someone will tell you that, you won't understand it. And the 12 didn't realize that he's talking about his death and resurrection later on. And he took bread, gave thanks, and broke it, and gave it to them, saying, This is my body given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. In the same way, after the supper, he took the cup, saying, This cup is the new covenant in my blood, which is poured out for you. Oh, you see I'm right. Then in that case, in that room, which we are going to visit soon, the reason I'm talking about it here is because it's a little bit crowded because of Pentecost, and it's so difficult to talk about it there. Then soon I will go there together with the Bible of Susan and Paul Italiano and the Lord's Prayer to reach that place. Then don't worry, you'll see it. Then for me, this is the first church ever, because that is where Jesus did the first Mass, the first service, and he did it by himself. Then you can understand the meaning of it. The first Mass ever was here, and it was taken by the most important priest, Son of God, Jesus. Later on Pentecost, when they will be here, Holy Fire will go down, and they will start to speak with different languages, and their message will be to spread Christianity all over. And this is not only the first church ever, it's the center of Christianity. And now when we know it, let's enter the room of the Last Supper, the Cenaculum, and visit it. It might be a little bit crowded, then I will try to speak inside and outside, but you will see everything. One of the questions that you will ask me is, how old is that room? Then let's start with the story of Israel and Jerusalem, building, destroying, building, destroying, building, destroying. Then that room probably been destroyed so many times, but not everyone believes in it. For example, some believes that that was the first synagogue of Jews who believed in Jesus. At the beginning, we didn't talk about Christians. I'm not sure that even St. Peter knew that he was a Christian. He was a Jew who was waiting for the Messiah to come, and he came. Epiphanos, the bishop of Salamis, actually say that although the city been destroyed at 70 AD, that room wasn't destroyed. Some say that, yes, it been destroyed, but in the 2nd century, it was built again. Some believes that that it was built together with the church that I was mentioning. Remember that cover every part of Mount of Olives at the 4th century. As you can understand, there are so many ways to figure out about the existence of the room, or the history of the room. Is it important for me? I'm not sure. But let's continue with it. At the 6th century, we found an ancient map, Madaba map, we found it in Jordan, of the city from the 6th century, and some believe that the room was already there, then it was exist. But at 1614, it had been destroyed by the Persian, but rebuilt immediately. At 1009, it had been destroyed by the Muslims, by the Khalif al-Hakim, but it had been rebuilt again by the Crusaders that called that place St. Mary. At the 13th century, so many places have been destroyed here by the Muslims, but the room was left without any damage. At the 16th century, the Ottomans took that room from the Christians and turned it into a mosque. Then they went down to the room, to the tomb of King David, and turned it into a mosque. Then until from 1550, 16th century, until 1948, it was a mosque. That's why you saw the minaret on the roof. If you didn't see it, then you see the minaret in front of you again. Then from 1948, that room is open for the Christians, sadly, because the synagogue is down there. Then and the upper room is here. Then the room is not owned by the Christian, it's owned by Israel. If you ask me, that room's supposed to be part of the Christians, but Wahem to change things here. Let's get used to the darkness. And let's talk about the room that you can see here. First of all, it's quite empty, and I'm happy. Usually it is crowded, but you can see the mosque. Here you can see the beautiful windows from the Islam time with some sentences about King David, and this is the mihrab, which shows you the way to Mecca. And when a Muslim will enter, he will know immediately that this is the way to Mecca, and he will pray through it. Another beautiful stained window from the Islam. The room itself is, even that is a problem. Some believe that it's from the Crusader time, and I'm one of them. Some believe that it's from later on by the Franciscans, let's say 16th century. There, you can see the stairs that can take you to another tomb of King David. It's a fake tomb the Muslim didn't let look at the kitty. The Muslim didn't let the Jews and Christians visiting the real tomb, which is just beneath it, and later on, if you will let me, I will show it to you. And but it's a beautiful, typical Crusader room. Look at the arches. Another beautiful thing that I can bless here is the tree that was giving us as a present. Hello, kitty. Hey, I'm allergic to cats, but I cannot say no to cats. Now, if you will hear me sneezing, you know why. But this is an olive tree that was given us by the Pope himself, a part of the letters of St. Paul. And the idea is that the Jews started to hate, the Christians started to hate the Jews. I mean, if you read the Bible, you can understand that. Which is, I must say, I can show you, I can read the Bible in a different way to show you that there wasn't any hate, there was debate, which is still the Jewish way, debating. There's not only one truth. Then, in that case, St. Paul told them, if you will hate the Jews and kill them, whatever, you will cut the main trunk that you are growing on. Because the foundation to Christianity is actually Judaism. But here you see 3 trunks, Christian, Muslim, and Jewish, which is beautiful. Beautiful present from the Pope at the year 2000. Another amazing thing is right here. You can see here a column from 12th century. And look at the falcon bird. The bird couldn't feed her own chick. Then the mother decided to feed her own chicks from her own flesh. This is the story of the room, the Last Supper. Eat that bread, drink that wine. And to show you why I believe that the room is from 12th century, beside that column, look at the graffiti here of Crusader, I think mainly German Crusader from 12th century. There's another one behind that, 3 beautiful people. Let me show it to you. Now we know everything about the room, the Last Supper. Now we know that for me, this is the first church ever. One of the questions that I've usually been asked, where was the table? At that time, there was no table. People used to sit on the floor and eat. Then it was somewhere here. It's not a big room. I can imagine if that was their entrance. Then the table was here somewhere, facing, but this is my speculation, to the old city, to the temple that at Jesus' time was exist. Let me go down to convince you that that building was, at least the lower part of it was from the beginning of Christianity, from the Roman time. And for that I have to leave the room. We are leaving the room. Just for information, WC, the toilets are there. But we are heading to the tomb of King David. It's not a video about that, but I want you to see that it's a room on top of a room. And I want to convince you that it's maybe from ancient time. Now look at the small stones. That's how we are building the houses. You can see that it's limestone. But here you can start to see big stones. big stones tells us that it used to be something different. Maybe it was owned by, institute. It can be Jewish, it can be Christian. And those stones, some believe that it's from 70 AD. Some believe, as we already know, that it's from the 2nd century, was taken from the area of the temple. Then why someone will try to build a structure here, a room here, from those big stones? Because if not, this is easier. Small stones. Then it might be an ancient room. The first part is the tomb of King David. The upper part is the upper room, the Cenaculum, the Cenaculum, and the room of the Last Supper. And what left for us to do is to go into the tomb of King David. King David was important for Jews, Christians, and Muslims. It's a synagogue that we have to divide ourselves into two. And because I'm only one person, then we will go together to the men department. There are 2 rooms there. First one is the synagogue, the other one is half of the tomb. The second half is at the women's section. And let me put a yarmulke on my head, because that's how the Jews are doing. That's what the Jews are doing. They're separating themselves from Him. The Jews are praying straight to God. The women department is there, but I'm entering to the men department together with your book. This is the synagogue. It looks like empty now. And this is the tomb. I'm sure that you might have some questions. Don't hesitate to write me whatever you feel, and you can ask me everything. I will try to answer every question. And if you want to support my channel, feel free to go to Buy Me a Coffee link or to PayPal, and the links are at the description of that video. And that's true if you want me to buy you a Bible or cross and bless it somewhere in Jerusalem, and of course to prepare a video for you. Then thank you very much from Mount Zion. It was such an amazing tour, isn't it? Then happy Pentecost, happy Shavuot.